Right. It is Sunday, the 18th of January, 2026. And I have to start today's deep dive with a very specific, slightly odd question for you.
Go on, then.
Have you ever tried to clap your hands? I mean, properly clap them to make some noise, while you're wearing a pair of thick, woolly thermal gloves?
I can't say that's a regular pastime of mine, no. I imagine it's a bit damp.
It's muffled, isn't it? It's pathetic. It's like a polite golf clap at best. It's just the sound of silence.
It definitely lacks a certain acoustic punch.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently that acoustic punch, or the lack thereof, is the difference between an elite winning mentality and, well, mid-table mediocrity. At least if you believe the headlines coming out of West London this week.
I see where we're going with this. We are heading to the freezing cold pitches of Cobham. We are talking about the revolution at Stamford Bridge.
We are diving headfirst into the Liam Rosenior era at Chelsea Football Club. And honestly, looking at the stack of research we have today, it has been one of the most bizarre weeks in the history of a club that basically specializes in bizarre weeks.
Which is saying something. I mean, this is the club of Chaos FC, after all. We've seen everything from transfer bans to, well, managerial turnover records. But this week...
This week is different. We aren't talking about billion-pound transfers or boardroom civil wars. We are talking about Lego bricks. We are talking about hand-washing tutorials.
And the physics of applause.
And the physics of applause. It does sound like a parody, doesn't it?
It really does. If you wrote this in a script for a football drama like Ted Lasso or, I don't know, Dream Team, the producers would send it back and say, tone it down, mate. It's too ridiculous. No manager is banning gloves to make clapping louder.
And yet, amidst all this ridicule, and we have a mountain of sources here from investigative reporting in the Daily Mail to the absolute fires of the Reddit threads, Chelsea just went out and thumped someone 5-1.
And that is the crux of it, isn't it? That scoreline just changes the entire complexion of the conversation.
That is the mission for this deep dive. We need to parse through this narrative. We need to look past the memes. Is Liam Rosenior just a LinkedIn manager? Is he a corporate cringe fest who's read too many self-help books?
Or,
and this is the scary thought, is he actually a modern genius who is using these bizarre methods to hack the psychology of a very young, very expensive squad?
it's the classic English football tension, isn't it? It's old school grit versus new age psychology. And right now, Liam Rosenior is the battleground.
So let's start with the narrative that absolutely dominated the week, the LinkedIn manager. This term was everywhere in the source material. It feels like it's going to stick if he's not careful. It all stems from an investigative piece by Kieran Gill for the Daily Mail, which dropped right in the middle of Rosenior's first week.
Right. And we should say, Kieran Gill is a reliable reporter. He's plugged in. He's not just making things up for clicks. So when he writes these things, people take notice.
And the headline grabber was, without a doubt, the Lego.
The Lego?
Walk us through this. Because when I first read it, I thought it was a metaphor. Like building a team brick by brick.
No, it is quite literal. The report states that Rosenior plans to introduce Lego building competitions as a primary method for team bonding.
Actual plastic bricks.
Yes.
For professional athletes earning hundreds of thousands of pounds a week.
The idea, according to the sources, is creative cohesion. It's a long-standing idea of his, apparently. You get the players into groups, you give them a task, build a tower, build a bridge, build the Millennium Falcon or something, and you force them to communicate.
So you're forcing them to problem solve and work together in a low-stakes environment where there isn't a ball at their feet.
Exactly that.
Okay, that's a theory. It sounds like a corporate away day. But let's look at the reaction.
Yeah.
Because the Chelsea fan base, well, let's just say they didn't exactly embrace the nuance of creative cohesion, did they?
Not initially, no. I've been trawling through the Reddit threads from when this news dropped, and the secondhand embarrassment was palpable. You had users like SOG650 asking straight up, is he truly a LinkedIn manager?
Right.
The vibe was that this is the kind of forced fun you get at a corporate retreat in Slough. Okay, team, let's build a bridge out of spaghetti and marshmallows to learn about synergy.
It feels very David Brent, doesn't it? Go and get the guitar.
It does. And in football, which is, let's be honest, a brutally cynical industry, that kind of earnestness is usually a death sentence. One fan, Novel Independent 166, called it so childish. They immediately compared it to Mauricio Pochettino's bowl of lemons.
Oh, God, the lemons. I genuinely blocked the lemons out of my memory.
Well, for the listener who managed to forget, Pochettino kept a bowl of lemons in his office to absorb negative energy.
And we know how that ended.
We do.
It ended with him leaving and the lemons presumably going moldy.
Exactly. So when fans hear Lego, they don't think, Psychological breakthrough, they think another manager with a gimmick who will be sacked in 6 months. They think it's soft.
But here's where I want to push back a bit, or at least play devil's advocate based on the deeper comments in our stack. Because there's a user, Reddit time, who pointed out something I hadn't considered. Who is in this Chelsea squad?
Kids, essentially. They are incredibly young.
Exactly. The average age is a barely legal drinking age. And Reddit time pointed out that Levi Colwill, one of their key defenders in England International, is a documented Lego nut.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, there was even linked to a Sun article about him loving Legoland.
That's a fair point. If you're managing a team of 30-year-old veterans like John Terry or Frank Lampard back in the day, and you bring out the Lego,
They're getting thrown out of the dressing room.
you might get put in a locker. But this squad, they are Gen Z. They grew up with this stuff.
It's meeting them where they are, isn't it? It's not go down the pub for 10 pints, which isn't athletic and doesn't happen anymore. And it's not let's sit in a circle and share our deepest fears, which is maybe a bit too intense for a Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
It's just play.
It is play, and there is actual research, which Rosenior seems to be tapping into, about flow states and cognitive unlocking through manual tasks. It distracts the conscious mind and allows for different types of conversation.
Right.
If you and I are building a Lego castle, we might start talking about tactics or defensive shape more naturally than if I sit you down in a lecture hall with a PowerPoint presentation.
But it still risks looking incredibly soft to the terrace culture. And that feeds directly into the Ted Lasso comparisons we saw everywhere in the data.
Oh, the Lasso effect is strong with this one. User Vadiswak called him the English version of Arteta, which was actually meant as a compliment.
Okay.
But then Aidan Hardcastle said the sub would unironically support Ted Lasso if he was named manager. It's this idea of the nice guy coach, the optimist.
But English football is suspicious of optimists. We like our managers to be miserable. We want them standing in the rain, grunting, looking like they haven't slept in 3 weeks, and basically hate the world.
We conflate misery with seriousness. If you're smiling and playing with toys, you clearly don't care about winning. That's the bias Rosenior is fighting against. He has to prove that you can be happy and still be a winner.
Speaking of biases, we have to talk about the bounce house theory. This was my favorite part of the fan reaction because it highlights just how traumatized this fan base is.
This is pure gold, wasn't it?
So the fans take the Lego idea and they just extrapolate. If we're doing kids' games, what's next? And someone suggests a bouncy castle.
And immediately the dark humor kicks in. Because what is the defining characteristic of this Chelsea squad over the last 3 years?
They break. They're made of glass.
Constantly injured. So user Massive Knights paints this vivid picture. I can just imagine Lavia, Reece James, and Badiashile all going down injured in the bounce house.
And Interstellar 304 chiming in with a medical report. Reece James ruled out bounce house for 6 weeks.
It's funny, but it reveals a deep anxiety, doesn't it? The fans are just expecting the worst. So any activity that isn't strict physiotherapy feels like a risk. They are thinking, don't let them step on a Lego brick, they'll be out for the season.
It shows that the trust between the club's medical department and the fans is completely and utterly broken.
Absolutely.
Which brings us neatly to the next weird headline from the Gill report. The gloves. Now this circles back to my intro. Rosenior apparently refuses to wear gloves in training, even when it's freezing.
Right.
Because he believes his clapping sounds louder without them, and that encourages the players more.
Now, on the surface, this is insanity.
It is. It's micromanagement of the highest order. It's -2 degrees in Cobham.
It sounds like something a cult leader does, you know?
Yeah.
I must suffer the cold, so my applause rings true.
Right. Feel the purity of my clap.
But let's peel it back a second. What is he actually doing? He's obsessing over the sensory environment of the training pitch. He wants the energy to be high. He wants the feedback to be instant and audible. If you're a player running a press and you hear that sharp crack of applause, it registers differently than a muffled thud.
It's about intensity.
It is. And it shows he's willing to be uncomfortable, physically uncomfortable, to get a 1% marginal gain in atmosphere. It's the opposite of the lazy coach trope. He's in the trenches with them, freezing his hands off just to keep the tempo up.
He's basically saying, I'm not wearing gloves, so you don't get to complain about the cold either.
Pretty much. It's that fine line between eccentric genius and absolute nutter. And usually the only difference between those two labels is the score line on Saturday.
Exactly. If you win, it's elite attention to detail. If you lose, it's why is he worrying about gloves instead of defending corners?
Nailed it.
But the most controversial point, and the one that I think was most misunderstood, was the hand washing.
Ah, yes, the hygiene protocol.
So the headline is, Rosenior lectures players on how to wash their hands. And the immediate reaction is, he's treating them like toddlers.
You had fans asking if he was going to implement nap time and check if they'd brush their teeth.
It fits the nanny state narrative perfectly.
Mm.
But as is so often the case with these viral stories, the context was buried. And when we dug into the deeper comments and the follow-up reports, what did we find?
We found a plague?
Essentially, yes. Chelsea was in the grip of a viral outbreak. Cole Palmer, arguably their most important player, the man who makes the whole thing tick, was looking like death warmed up.
Mm.
Several other starters were missing training or coming back from illness.
So suddenly, this isn't a weird power trip about hygiene. This is crisis management.
It's basic epidemiology. You have a closed environment, the dressing room, the canteen, the physio room, and a highly contagious virus ripping through the squad. If you don't enforce strict hygiene, you lose your starting XI for the Arsenal game. You lose the season. User Lance777 pointed this out perfectly. They said, if you have a flu going around, someone in a leadership position informing staff such things, isn't that weird?
And designer lead 1492, who claimed to be a physician, actually noted they were surprised people were mocking it. They said general hygiene in these environments can be shocking.
Right.
We assume footballers are clean living, but locker rooms are petri dishes. They share water bottles, they hug, they high-five constantly.
So Rosenior's there saying, wash your hands for 20 seconds. Not because he thinks they're children, but because he needs Cole Palmer to be able to run for 90 minutes on Sunday without collapsing.
It's pragmatic, but through the lens of the LinkedIn manager meme, it gets twisted into corporate wellness nonsense. It's actually just good old-fashioned don't get sick management.
It really is a classic case of the narrative overtaking the reality.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears, because all this soft skills stuff, the Lego, the gloves, the soap, it's all window dressing if the football is rubbish.
Correct. You can have the cleanest hands in the league, but if you can't keep a clean sheet, nobody cares.
And the report suggests that unlike the revolutionary vibes of the Lego, the actual football strategy has been surprisingly, well, careful.
Evolution, not revolution. That's the phrase that kept coming up in the analysis of his first week.
Which is smart, right? Enzo Maresca, the previous manager, laid a foundation. The team wasn't a total disaster tactically. They were just inconsistent.
Exactly. Rosenior isn't coming in and ripping up the floorboards. He's not trying to teach them a totally new language in week one. The sources say he's keeping the system close to Maresca's with only odd tweaks.
But he is offering a clean slate.
Which is standard new manager 101, isn't it? You have fringe players, guys who maybe fell out with the old boss, and you tell them, I don't care what happened before, show me what you can do now. It raises the level of training immediately because suddenly everyone thinks they have a shot at the starting lineup.
However, there is one specific rule he's brought in that I absolutely love, and the fans loved it too. The react principle, or as I like to call it, the stop sulking rule.
This resonated hugely. The rule is simple. If you lose the ball, there is no moment of reflection. There is no throwing your arms up in the air. There is no looking at the referee with a pained expression.
Which has been the Chelsea trademark for about 2 years. A winger dribbles into a cul-de-sac, loses it, and then stands there doing a dramatic pose while the other team breaks and scores.
Drives fans insane. It's performative disappointment. Rosenior has banned it. The instruction is, you lose it, you react, you counterpress immediately, you hunt the ball down.
It's a cultural shift. It's about accountability. User Agbag846 specifically mentioned this, saying they like the idea of concentrating on winning it back instead of waiting for a call.
And tactically, it's crucial. If you want to play a high line, which Rosenior does, you cannot afford to have passengers when possession is lost. The first 5 seconds after losing the ball are the most dangerous. If you sulk for 3 of those seconds, you're dead. You're wide open.
But this high-intensity style comes with risks. And this is where the playing out from the back discussion comes in. Because he is doubling down on this, isn't he?
He is. The sources mention he referenced the Arsenal game where Chelsea got trapped. And instead of saying, clear it long, he's telling them to be braver. He wants short passing, even under heavy pressure.
Now, for a fan, that is terrifying. You watch Robert Sanchez in goal, he's got a mistake in him. We know he does. You watch Wesley Fofana, he can get caught on the ball.
It is heart attack football. But this is where Rosenior's management style blends with the tactics. He made a specific promise to the squad, and specifically to the goalkeepers. If you make a mistake playing my way, I take the blame publicly.
I take the blame. That is massive.
It's psychological safety. In elite sports, hesitation kills you. If Sanchez is standing over the ball thinking, if I mess this pass up, the fans will kill me and the manager will drop me, he will tense up.
So,
He'll misplace the pass.
but if he thinks the manager told me to do this and he's got my back, he relaxes. He executes the skill.
Precisely. Rosenior is removing the fear of failure. He's saying, I own the risk, you just execute the skill. It empowers the players to make those brave passes that break the opposition lines.
It's easy to say that in a meeting room, though. It's a lot harder to stick to it when Sanchez passes it straight to a striker in the 90th minute.
True, that will be the real test. But he's also backing up the idealism with data. The sources highlight a huge focus on set pieces.
Which was a disaster zone recently.
3 goals conceded against Arsenal from dead balls. That is just unacceptable at this level. So Rosenior isn't just dreaming about Lego and vibes. He's scheduling specific repetitive drilling on corner defense. He's looking at the numbers and plugging the leaks.
So we have the theory, we have the culture building, we have the hygiene. But as we said earlier, none of it matters without the result. And this week, he got the result.
A 5-1 victory.
Boom. Just like that.
Now, we need to apply the appropriate context filters here. Looking at the schedule mentioned in the source data, this wasn't Real Madrid. This was likely Charlton or a similar lower-tier side in the Cup.
Sure. But you can only beat what's in front of you. And Chelsea have struggled against lower-tier sides plenty of times in the past. We've seen them scrape by or even lose these games.
Very true. And the report notes that it wasn't a walk in the park from minute 1. It was choppy for a good portion of the game.
Let's talk about that match flow, because it wasn't just turn up and win.
No, the first half was tense. You could feel the new manager nerves. Players were trying a bit too hard to impress, maybe overthinking that no sulking rule. User Yo-Yo-Yi2 admitted they only relaxed after the penalty settled the nerves.
That penalty was the release valve.
It was. Once that went in, you saw the shoulders drop, you saw the confidence return, and then the floodgates opened. 5-1.
And the fans went absolutely mental. The Rosenior train left the station immediately.
It was instantaneous. User Glittering Pick 107 declared, I am officially on Rosenior train.
Capital letters and all.
Capital letters and all. It's the beautiful duality of the football fan. One minute it's LinkedIn Liam, the next it's we're going on a trip in Liam's rocket ship.
We are a fickle bunch. But that feeling, seeing your team score 5 goals, it's a drug. It washes away weeks of frustration. It makes you think, okay, maybe the Lego works. Maybe the glove thing is genius.
It validates the process. If they had drawn 0-0, the articles this morning would be, Rosenior's childish methods fail. Because they won 5-1, the articles are, Rosenior's fresh approach unlocks potential.
But I think the moment he really won people over wasn't even the 5th goal. It was the post-match press conference.
Yes, the masterclass.
Because he knew the articles were out there. He knew people were laughing about the Lego and the gloves. And the journalists, being journalists, asked him about it. They wanted the soundbite.
And this is a trap for a new manager. If you get defensive, if you say, that's ridiculous journalism, respect my methods, you look rattled. You look like you have thin skin.
Or if you deny it, you look like a liar.
So what did he do?
He leaned right into it. He just smiled and said, we've got Lego to come. I'll be doing a lot of clapping too.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
It disarmed the room instantly.
Yeah.
He owned the joke. He basically said, yeah, I'm doing the weird stuff. Watch me.
It shows such confidence. It changes the narrative from, look at this weirdo, to, look at this guy who doesn't give a damn what you think. User Alternative Court 262 nailed it in the threads. How do you people not like this guy? Massive win. Fucks with the press. Hook it to my veins.
Fucks with the press.
Yeah.
That is a trait fans absolutely love. They want a manager who can handle the media circus, especially the London media circus, which is a Shark Tank.
It draws a really interesting parallel to Mikel Arteta at Arsenal. The fans kept bringing him up in the sources.
The Arteta comparison is fascinating.
Yeah.
Because remember when Arteta started?
Oh, it was merciless. The drawings, the light bulb.
He drew a light bulb with a sad face and a happy face.
He did. And the pickpocket dinner where he hired professional pickpockets to steal the players' phones to teach them about, I don't know, alertness.
It sounded insane. Everyone laughed. We all laughed.
But now, Arsenal are title contenders. Arteta is seen as a visionary, and the weird methods are seen as genius culture building.
So the lesson is, if you lose, it's cringe. If you win, it's culture.
Precisely. User Dynamo8 made that exact point. Rosenior seems to understand that the cringe label is just a temporary sticker. It peels off with every victory. He knows he's being compared to Arteta, but he also knows he's being compared to Graham Potter.
There was also a darker fear he had to navigate. The ghost of Graham Potter.
Yes, the Potter 2.0 anxiety.
Graham Potter came in with a master's degree in emotional intelligence. He was a nice guy. He talked about holistic development, and he got eaten alive by the Chelsea job.
He did. The fans associate emotional intelligence with weakness now. Criminal Tango 44 was begging in the threads, "Please, I beg, I don't want Potter v2."
They are terrified that a nice manager means a soft team.
But Rosenior's wit in that press conference and the aggression of the no sulking rule seems to have differentiated him slightly. He's nice, but he's got a bit of an edge. He's not just a substitute teacher. He's a teacher who will let you play Lego, but will also detain you if you don't run back on defense.
We need to talk about his language, though. Because while he navigated the presser well, there was one quote in the sources that made me physically wince.
Oh, I know exactly which one you mean.
The man. Age. Quote.
Go on, read it out.
So Rosenior is explaining his philosophy, and he breaks down the word management. He says, I quote, "In English, if you split the two words, it's man, age. You're aging men."
It is profound, written on a coaster in an airport bar kind of way.
It's terrible. It's such a dad joke. You're aging men. It sounds like he's running a retirement home, not a football club.
User Faces Everywhere joked, "I assume he's aged many men in that time." No. It sounds exactly like the LinkedIn content we were mocking earlier. It's a wordplay that doesn't quite land.
But again, does it work? Is there a method behind this terrible pun?
I think the phrasing is clunky, but the intent is vital. He's trying to emphasize the human element. He's telling the players, "I see you as men, not just assets on a balance sheet." And for a squad this young, who've been treated like commodities since they were 12 years old, maybe that matters.
He's backing it up with actions, too, the one-on-ones. He sat down with Cole Palmer, who, as we mentioned, was sick, and explained exactly why his minutes are being managed.
That's key. Usually a manager just drops you. You sit on the bench wondering what you did wrong. Rosenior is educating him. "I'm not dropping you because you're bad. I'm dropping you so you don't snap your hamstring in week 3. It builds trust."
And then there's Reece James, the captain, the man who has spent more time in the MRI room than on the pitch.
The situation with Reece James is fascinating. He is injured again, but Rosenior had him travel on the team bus for the game.
Usually the injured captain is in the stands, wearing a designer coat, looking miserable, checking his phone.
Exactly. Detached. But Rosenior wants him in the trenches. He had him there to lead the younger lads, like Josh Achimpong.
That's smart.
Yeah.
It reinforces that leadership isn't just about wearing the armband for 90 minutes. It's about setting the standard on the bus, in the hotel, in the warm-up.
It's creating that spirit Rosenior keeps talking about. He's integrating the injured players so they don't feel exiled. And for a team with so many injuries, that integration is critical to keeping the morale up.
Yeah.
If half your squad is injured and they feel isolated, the culture just rots.
You know, the more we talk about this, the more I realize, for all the jokes about the bounce house and the fragility of players like Lavia and Fofana, this soft skill stuff, the medical management, the hand washing, the psychological bonding, it isn't optional. It's actually critical.
It is. We joke about the bounce house, but the reality is Chelsea's squad has been made of glass for 3 years. If Rosenior can keep them healthy through hygiene protocols or workload management, that's worth more than any tactical tweak.
If hand washing keeps Cole Palmer on the pitch for 5 more games a season, give Rosenior a Nobel Prize for medicine.
Give him a sponsorship deal with Dettol. Put his face on the bottle.
Exactly. So he's had a good week. The win, the press conference, the vibes. But now reality sets in. Because I'm looking at the upcoming schedule in the notes here.
It's
And the route.
It is a baptism of fire.
Read it out for us.
The run is Charlton, which was the win, then Arsenal, Brentford, and Paphos. That is 4 games in 12 days.
4 games in 12 days.
Mm-hmm.
In January. That is a meat grinder.
It's brutal.
When does he even have time to teach them how to build the Lego? When does he have time to teach them tactical shape?
He doesn't. That's the problem. The report mentions he's using what he calls 30-minute cramming blocks for focused work. He can't do long, exhausting sessions because the players need to recover physically, so he has to be incredibly efficient.
It's microdosing tactics.
Exactly, and the personal toll is huge. The report mentions he has paused his personal life entirely, he is immersing himself completely, sleeping at the training ground vibes. He knows he has a tiny window to make an impact before the games overwhelm him.
Which shows the hunger. He had a quote that really struck a chord with me about his ambition.
My biggest focus is not being Chelsea manager. It's about being a winning Chelsea manager.
That's a good line. It distinguishes between the prestige of the job and the output of the job. Lots of people have been Chelsea manager recently. Not many have been winning ones.
And he talked about moving the club from potentially world class to actually world class. That is the perfect summary of Chelsea right now. They have all the potential in the world, the most expensive young talent on the planet, but they haven't been a team.
Yeah.
They've been a collection of expensive parts. They've been an investment portfolio, not a football club.
Do you think this marks the end of the Chaos FC era? Or is that just wishful thinking?
It's a bold claim. Chelsea attracts chaos like a magnet. But Rosenior represents a shift. He's holistic, he's bringing in psychology, he's obsessing over culture, but he's also reactive to the data. It's a modern approach. It's not just throw money at it.
The fans seem ready for it. Judging by the threads, they are desperate for stability. They are tired of the drama. They just want to see, as Rosenior put it, fight for the shirt.
And winning helps with that fight. As user Kirk 2018 said perfectly, just win and there won't be any need to do PR.
Ain't that the truth?
If he beats Arsenal and Brentford, he can build a life-size replica of Stamford Bridge out of Duplo blocks in the center circle, and the fans will call him a visionary.
They will be selling kits with Lego bricks on them in the mega store.
They'll be selling replica gloves with the fingers cut off for optimal clapping.
I'd buy a pair, just to feel something.
I know you would.
So let's wrap this up. We started with the absurdity, the Lego, the gloves, the hand washing. We navigated through the LinkedIn manager insults. But what we found is actually something quite interesting.
We found a method to the madness.
Rosenior appears to be a very methodical, intense coach who is trying to bond a fractured young squad while navigating a sickness crisis and a nightmare schedule.
He is a mix of modern corporate strategy and old-school passion. The cringe elements are just tools. The clapping without gloves, that's passion. The Lego, that's connection. The hand-washing, that's survival.
And the 5-1 win.
That's the proof of concept. That's the evidence that maybe, just maybe, the LinkedIn manager actually knows what he's doing.
So here's the final thought I want to leave you with today. We live in an era of millionaire teenage footballers. They have everything. They have global fame, massive wages, immense pressure. They're brands before they are men.
It's a different world to when we grew up, yeah.
In that world, are these childish bonding methods, the Lego, the games, actually the most brilliant way to bypass those massive egos? Is treating them like kids the only way to get them to play like men? Or is this all going to look incredibly stupid the moment they lose 3-0 to Brentford next week?
That is the gamble.
That is the gamble, and we will be watching every single brick of it. Thanks for listening to The Deep Drive.
Cheers.
See you next time.